every family is touched by mental illness in some way. It's also a ripple effect. It goes to your neighborhood, your community, your extended family, and it's a lineage.
You're listening to Squeeze Lines, where truth stings, laughs heal, and nothing's off limits. I'm Tyler, the daughter.
I'm Robin, the mom. And if life gives you lemons,
we're squeezing lines instead.
So grab a seat, open your mind, and get ready to laugh or cry, because we're not here to play nice.
We're here to get real.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Squeeze Limes. We're so excited to have you here. And this week we have joined Podcasthon, which has podcasters release episodes dedicated to their choice of charity. And so this week, our choice of charity is NAMI Chicago, NAMI. We chose NAMI because they are a mental health and wellness organization that supports people in their journey to have equity and resources to access mental health. And so we wanted to read something on their website that shows a little bit more about them. And if you're so inclined to, we ask that you please donate to NAMI Chicago. So since 1979, NAMI Chicago has fought for families and individuals impacted by mental health conditions. We promote community wellness, break down barriers to mental health care, and provide support and expertise for families, professionals, and individuals in Chicago and beyond. Their mission statement is guided by the experience of those living with mental health conditions and rooted in equity. NAMI Chicago educates to fight stigma and discrimination, fiercely advocates for our community, and shares hope, connection, and expertise with people on their mental health journey. So we ask and invite you to donate to this charity. They're close to our hearts because we have worked so long in mental health and truly advocate it and discuss it regularly. So their website's NAMI, NAMI Chicago.org/donate if you would like to help us with that cause. But otherwise, we're going to talk about mental health today and what that means in our lives and what that looks like and how we advocate for that.
Yes, we are. So, as you said, it was established when in 1979,
Mm-hmm.
and I know in 2020 they added a different level of equity, right, which runs through their programs, which is lovely, and so they're obviously
Yeah.
up to date, and they do
Right.
serve and fight for the well-being of families and individuals that have mental illness and need resources such as therapists and counselors and groups and insurance and financial aid. And they do an amazing job. I welcome that charity for sure for us.
Yeah. And if you don't know us, my name's Tyler. This is my mom, Robin.
Hello.
And
We're Squeeze Limes.
welcome. So if you want to just speak on
Sure.
how you got into mental health as your career path and where that's led you to today.
Okay. So truthfully, I went to college for architecture and design and then quickly took a psychology class and changed or added actually another major for psychology because I thought, oh, I could fix my family, which I think a lot of therapists and counselors, really want that as a mission for themselves. I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. And so I now have been doing it for over 30 years. I have a private practice in the North Shore and in Chicago. And years ago, I took part of NAMI as a donator, but also as a counselor that utilized their resources. And then I became on the junior board of their charity. And so looking back, I think that was just the right thing for us to do, is to go into the mental health. Obviously, I've been doing it for a long time, and personally, we've had friends and family members very close to us that also suffer from mental illness. And I feel like every family is touched by mental illness in some way. It's also a ripple effect. It goes to your neighborhood, your community, your extended family, and it's a lineage. So hereditarily speaking, genetics play a huge role. And so it should always be talked about and always brought up for what resources can be there for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my own journey, obviously grew up with a mom who is in the mental health field. And I always, was drawn to that aspect even as a child. And so moving into my career, which I chose to become an early childhood educator, I really strongly advocated for mental health because I really truly believe that early intervention helps everything.
Absolutely.
From individuals to families to communities to infrastructures, that it just, like you said, it becomes a ripple effect. And so I really wanted to advocate that for the students in my classroom and the children that I worked with. And I also went and got my yoga certification for adults and children. And I became a trauma informed yoga teacher. So I was able to even further push the ability and the resources into my classroom of, you know, breath work and affirmations and speaking about, um, social stories and how we can talk to other people in healthy ways and to ourselves. And so I always found mental health within my career to be one of the most important things that I worked on.
You also had a calm corner for people who were
Hmm.
overstimulated and that they needed a little regulation. And so that was really nice. And you introduced that, and it was for everyone. And and they loved it. And it was
Yeah.
calm and peaceful and zen. And
Yeah.
so that really helped as well.
Yeah. And I specifically chose different children's books that focused on feelings and emotions and how we can move through these feelings in more of a controlled, appropriate way. What's a big reaction versus a small reaction to a big problem or a small problem, and kind of helping children gauge explicitly their feelings by labeling them and then understanding how to work through those feelings that could feel so big in our bodies,
That
and
they
how to
can't
regulate.
express. And so they get frustrated, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
depending on the child for sure. So that was something that I really loved working on. And I always said, like, if I didn't become a teacher, I would have been a social worker or a counselor or a therapist or something. And who knows, maybe one day I might.
Right. Knowing you will. So that's good. You took
But
work.
it's definitely something that I'm very passionate about as well. And I take it to my own family and friends and talk to them about mental health and the resources and as well as limitations that we experience,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think is so
I
important.
think there are many limitations, unfortunately, surrounding mental illness and mental health, same thing. Um, I think that it's sad because I think the stigma is still a little bit there. It used to be hush hush. Nobody knew that you were in counseling or marriage counseling or family counseling. And then it's like everyone on your block is,
Mhm.
and I think people don't understand how important it is to take that away and smash it, because everyone needs to vent out. Everyone needs to know what's going on inside their heads and their bodies and how to regulate that. And if it's for medication, if it's for hospitalization, if it's for a group, an individual, it's so important to find your program that helps you, your person that helps you. And
Mhm.
I think this is what NAMI does, but it's just so important to reach out for support when you feel like something is off, and not sit with it, because it can only fester and just attached to you and it gets sticky, and there's no reason to live like that. And
Yeah.
if you notice something like that in your family or members of your community, you want to, give them resources. People always say, like, oh, should I give them your number or whatever? You know what? Or should I just help them? I could just do what you do for me.
Wait.
And and the thing is that just hand them a telephone number, just hand them a card, or just send them a link that they can get help, and just call for that. And if they
Yeah.
can't, and if they won't, or if they don't know how, then ask them if they need help to do that, and sit down with them and see if you can figure out the best path. And just to call someone like NAMI and get resources is easy. They
Yeah.
make it very easy.
And of course, this is if, that person is open, but more importantly, we really want to emphasize to look inward and to instead of trying to help everyone around you, focus on what you can do for yourself, because that then does help everyone around you.
Right. It's the oxygen mask, right? You have to put it on first in order to help others. It's the truth.
Exactly.
It
It
is
is
the
the
truth.
truth.
Yeah. And if you're role modeling, it's the most important teaching tool to have, that your kids or grandkids are watching you take care of yourself in many different ways, in many different forms. And so they'll do that. And so that's how kids learn. And so then teens learn.
Well, that's
And
how
so,
people learn,
right. I'm just saying
through.
it would be great if it started very, very young, like, toddlers, really. But taking care of yourself and making time and showing that you care about yourself and love yourself is, what else can we teach our kids? Like, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to gain that self-awareness and ability to regulate and understand how you connect with yourself and those around you, and how your relationships are, um how those are impacted through the way that you react in certain situations or not. And um it's also important, and through that process you learn so much about yourself and how to be the best version of you. And I think a lot of the stigma comes from like something's wrong with you, and that's not necessarily what it means.
Oh, yeah.
We're all evolving, we're all learning, and especially in today's day and age, we're consumed with so much information and so much
Mm.
um opinions and arguments and crazy things going on in the world that, in your childhood, it was very different. So I think it's so important for us to like take a step back and look inward and see what do we truly need in order to show up in the world as our best selves. And I feel like if we all did that, we'd have a better world we'd live in today.
You're right. We would. That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
true. I mean, showing up, and, a lot of people don't know that they're dysregulated, or they can't identify it. They just think they're, just having an off day, or if they're just really hyper, like they're really happy. It's really hard to identify when you're in it.
Yeah.
So it really does take a village to have someone notice and sit down and say, like, are you okay? Could I help you with something? I'm seeing something that is a little off. How are you feeling? If they're open, of course.
Yeah, I think that also comes with like how your relationship is with that person, and
Right.
hopefully that other person is well receptive. But I do think if someone's coming to you and saying like, "Hey, I think you could really benefit from
Right.
speaking to a professional," I think that is the most beautiful way of someone reaching out and saying, "Hey, I see you and I want to help you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I want to see you get better or do better or have some reflection or something." So anyways,
Thank you for coming to our podcastathon for Squeeze Limes and our charity of choice, which is NAMI and AMI, Chicago.org. Please visit them and donate if you can. Anything matters, everything matters. and we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and come check us out. We're Squeeze Limes, Tyler and Robin, mother-daughter duo. We'd love your support. And if you liked this episode or any other future episodes, please leave a rating and a review. We would really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a good squeeze.
Of course, everybody needs one.
See you next time on Squeeze Limes.